The Velkarim had studied fear across 700 species. They cataloged it, dissected it, understood its evolutionary purpose in every sentient race that crawled, swam, or flew across the galaxy. Fear was universal, the great constant that bound all thinking creatures to their mortality. Then they found humanity. Dr. Zekthar adjusted his sensory appendages as he observed the human specimen through the reinforced observation panel. The creature called itself Marcus Webb, and it sat calmly in the testing chamber, examining its fingernails with casual disinterest. "Begin Protocol 7, Zekthar commanded. The chamber transformed. Holographic projections filled the space with humanity's ancient predators, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, creatures that should trigger primal terror buried deep in the human genome. The predators circled, snarled, their fangs dripping with simulated blood. Marcus yawned. "Fascinating," murmured Zekthar's assistant, Prilnax. "No cortisol spike. No adrenaline surge. Nothing." "Perhaps the holograms are unconvincing," Zekthar suggested. "Humans are visually oriented. Enhance the sensory input." The predators became solid, their growls reverberating through the chamber. The temperature dropped. The smell of wet fur and decay filled the air. Marcus stood up, walked directly to the largest saber-tooth and attempted to pet it. "Increase threat level," Zekthar ordered, his voice tight with frustration. The scenario shifted. Marcus now stood at the edge of a cliff, winds howling, the ground crumbling beneath his feet. 1,000-meter drop yawned below him, jagged rocks waiting at the bottom. Marcus peered over the edge with mild interest. "Nice view," he said to no one in particular. Zekthar's 3 hearts pounded in confusion. "This is impossible. Every species exhibits fear of falling. It's fundamental to survival." "Try existential threats," Prilnax suggested. "Humans are intelligent. Perhaps abstract dangers will trigger the response." The chamber dissolved into cosmic horror. The heat death of the universe played out in accelerated time. Stars died, galaxies collapsed. The very fabric of reality began to unravel around Marcus, showing him the cold, infinite void that awaited all things. Marcus scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Huh, so that's how it ends. Makes sense, I guess." Zekthar slammed his manipulator against the console. "What is wrong with this species? Permission to attempt direct neural stimulation?" Prilnax asked. "Granted. But carefully. We need him intact for further study." They bypassed Marcus's sensory organs entirely, feeding fear responses directly into his amygdala, artificial terror, pure and undiluted, the kind that made Velkarim scientists collapse in catatonic states during calibration tests. Marcus's eye twitched slightly. "That tickles." "Impossible!" Zekthar's voice cracked across 3 harmonic frequencies. "We're pumping enough fear stimulus into his brain to kill a Drexnarian war beast." "Sir," Prilnax said quietly, examining his scanner, I think we need to review human history." The data files painted a picture that made Zekthar's blood run cold, a rare experience for a fear researcher. Humans had faced extinction 17 times in their recorded history. Supervolcano eruptions, ice ages, plagues that killed half their population. Twice they'd nearly annihilated themselves with weapons that could crack their planet open like an egg. And they kept going. They'd stared into the abyss of their own mortality so many times that the abyss had gotten bored and looked away first. "Look at this." Prilnax displayed a human historical document. During their Cold War, they lived for decades knowing their species could end in nuclear fire at any moment. Children practiced hiding under desks. Families built bunkers. And do you know what they did? Collapsed into paralytic terror? Zekthar guessed hopefully. They made jokes about it. They created entertainment about it. They went to work, fell in love, raised children, all while living under the sword of instantaneous extinction. Zekthar watched as more data scrolled past. Humans who climbed mountains that killed them. Humans who dove into oceans that crushed them. Humans who strapped themselves to controlled explosives and shot themselves into space, into the thing most species feared most, just to see what was there. They didn't conquer fear. Zekthar realized, his voice hollow. They exhausted it. "Sir, the subject is requesting to speak with you." Zekthar activated the communication channel reluctantly. Marcus's voice came through, casual and almost friendly. "Hey, so I'm guessing the whole study human fear thing isn't going great? How did you—" "Come on, Doc." The predators, the falling, the existential dread, the neural stimulation. Pretty standard fear research protocol. We've done similar studies ourselves. Then you understand what we're trying to accomplish. Sure, but here's the thing you guys don't get. Marcus leaned back in his chair. We did have fear once, tons of it. We were terrified of everything, the dark, the unknown, death, change, each other. But we couldn't afford to stay afraid. We had ice ages to survive, diseases to cure, stars to reach. So you eliminated it? No, Marcus said. And for the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Not fear, but something the Velkarim had no word for. We refined it. We turned fear into fuel. Every time we're scared, we ask ourselves, what are we going to do about it? And then we do something so crazy, so stupidly ambitious that the fear doesn't have room to breathe anymore. That's insane. Yeah, Marcus grinned. Welcome to humanity. Zekthar stood in silence, processing this. An entire species that had weaponized their survival instinct, that had turned the most fundamental limiting factor of consciousness into a launching pad. One more thing, Doc, Marcus added. You might want to warn the Galactic Council about this. Because if humanity doesn't have anything left to fear from our own world, well, he looked directly at the camera, and Zekthar finally understood what humans had instead of fear. Curiosity. We're going to start looking outward. And I don't think the galaxy's ready for what happens when 8 billion fearless apes decide to see what else is out there. Zekthar shut off the communication channel with a trembling manipulator. For the first time in his career, he was afraid.